So I want to make sure you're aware we do a TLD live chat every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. I'll put a link to it here. This is an opportunity for you as the consumer to join us and ask questions that we may not have covered within the review. We also have special guests that join us, such as brand managers, product developers, and even CEOs. So come join us and get your voices heard. All right, on with the show. Hey everyone, Walsh here from Thin Line Defense, and today I got some exciting optics for you. We're actually going to get to see some of the new Crimson Trace 2021 lineup. So we're going to start that with our review today of the Crimson Trace 4x16 in their Hardline Pro line with the MR1-MIL reticle. Now, for just a little bit of essay, we actually have the first focal plane version of this. So there's a couple different versions of it. You can get it in first focal plane and second focal plane. So as a small refresher, in first focal plane, you're going to have the reticle that shrinks and grows as you magnify in, so it changes position, so those bullet drop characteristics are always going to be the same on every magnification. Then they have the second focal plane version, which is a little bit cheaper, that's only going to be true for those bullet drop characteristics when it's at full magnification. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to unbox it for you. We're going to mount it, and then we're going to put the optic through a series of tests, and then I'm going to go take it out to the range and have some fun with it. So let's see what this optic can do. Let's see what Crimson Trace has managed to do in 2021. All right, let's get to that unboxing. All right, let's get started in getting in this Hardline Pro 4x16 out. But look at this box, though. Just the box looks crazy. I always love that. Wow, so check out this packaging. I'm definitely impressed here. So let's go and get started. What is this? I think this is the sunshade. Let me see if I can just get all this paper off. Wow, okay, check this out. They did this really amazing etching right on the end here. That looks absolutely fantastic. I love the detail on that. That's absolutely cool. All right, what else is here? Oh, okay, so we have another cleaning cloth. This is an absolutely crazy cleaning cloth. Look at this. It's like a full-size towel almost. Wow, it looks amazing. They really went all out on this. I'm really loving it so far. All right, let's see what else comes in here. Okay, we have all the paperwork. It looks like some stuff on the reticle. Oh, okay, there's our battery. So we can go ahead and get everything out. So let's get that battery out first. Okay, so it's a 2032 battery, so good to see it's like standard batteries. And what are these? Let's start with the first one. So here, this shows you how to use the reticle. You can actually do some ranging with the reticle, which is really interesting. If you want to learn about it, it's right in the manual. It's cool that they included this in case you wanted to learn how to do it. It also shows all the different subtensions of the actual reticle itself. Very useful. All right, so then what's in the regular manual here? All right, so we'll go over the key features when we actually pull everything out. Quick start guide, some maintenance and troubleshooting. How to mount your scope. It's really awesome. They show you how to do this and set your eye relief. Then it shows you how to focus the reticle. Make sure you use the actual diopter to focus the reticle and only the reticle, and then use your parallax to actually set the image so it aligns with the distance correctly. And then how to zero your actual rifle scope. We'll go through a lot of this too. Oh, this is smart. This shows you that you can use the actual reticle itself to show you what you need to adjust for your bullet impact groups when you zero. And then common challenges and battery warnings. I think that's about it. There's some notes in here, yeah. Okay, so that's about it that's in here. So let's get the actual optic out. I love this display. Look how crazy this thing is. All right, let's get all this off here and we can look at that. So, oh, it comes with its own lifetime warranty. Look at that. I love how that's in that packaging. So you're very aware that this does come with a warranty. All right, let's get this out of here. Wow. Okay, check this out. I love all the accents and everything on this. Look at the knurling on there. Look how cool it looks. So it uses some removable caps. Let's just take these off real quick. And then looking at the diopter, look how cool it is with this knurling. It's so easy to use because it has that grip on it. And same with this magnification lever. Oh, okay, yeah, that's nice and smooth. And that throw isn't crazy. I love that knurling that's on there. That's absolutely awesome. All right, here we have our elevation and windage adjustments. Very tactile clicks. Very nice. They don't pull out, but they're very tactile. And you can easily tell when you're adjusting them, and these adjust in 0.1 mil increments. And then we have our parallax. The parallax move very freely. This is a really nice dial. I like this. And it has that grippiness texture that's on everything else. It's just well thought out. And then we have our illumination adjustment. So as you can see here, it actually has the illumination spots between on off between each position. And here we can take off the cap to install our battery. Just toss in our 2032 battery. Pay attention to your polarity. Tighten everything down. Let's see if we can see through it. We sure can. Look how great that looks. All right, so now that we have everything unboxed, let's do the most cheat scope mounting and leveling ever. Let me show you what I have planned. All right, in order to do this crazy, we're gonna use the super cheater method with our Warne QD X scale mount. And I'm gonna show you how this works. And what's awesome about this is it has two QD levers. So it's easy to install and remove optics when we're out on the range by just adjusting these to adjust the tension on the QD. So it makes it simple to put on any rifle or platform. Okay, but before we get too much further, let's see the weight on this thing. It seems really light, which could be awesome for a mid-range gun. So let's see what it's got. So just holding it, I'm a little blown away by the weight. I'm curious what it is. 23.7, so about 24. That's crazy. That's lower than an LPVL. What is it with the actual scope? 8.2. So that's what, 32 ounces total? Wow. So that's 32 ounces. That's almost the same weight as an LVPO with a 4x16. That's pretty interesting. So let's see what this thing can do. I have a cheater way I learned to level scopes that I learned from doing the ScalarWorks mount review. Let's try it on this one and see if it works. Okay, so we got this little cheater tool that we can use to level the scope on the actual mount. So we're going to try that and see if it works. And then we'll use our Wheeler scope mounting kit in order to make sure it's level using all the tools that's in there just to make sure it actually works. First thing we got to do though is we actually have to remove the caps. So just loosen up all the screws here so that you can gain access to the actual scope mount. Remove the top caps on both sides. And then make sure the scope fits in there. Just move it back and forth a little bit. Make sure it's not binding on anything or sitting in there weird in any way, shape, or form. And then you can put your top caps back on. And then we're just going to make these finger tight just so that we can then check our eye relief. So remember here, it's really important that you check out your eye relief before you go and level everything and torque it all down. Learn from my mistakes and don't level it and then realize your eye relief is off. All right, I reset all my eye reliefs. Just make sure you got a little bit of play before you use this leveling tool. That way it has some room to move around. So in this kit, there's actually 3 different pieces. There's the actual base and then there's 2 different wedges. What happens is you use the base and then you align the base with the bottom of the scope mount, and then you use the other pieces that are included to line it up. So you put the bottom of the base against the bottom of your scope mount, and it leaves an opening to use one of the wedges. Then inside the kit, there's 2 wedges. There's the large wedge, and then there's also the small wedge. So based on how much room you have, we'll determine which one to use. We'll use the small wedge. So we can just push it in, and then, oh, yeah, I can feel the actual scope moving as that wedge moves into a level position. And then you can easily pop it out if you need to. But we're going to put it back in place so we can tighten everything down. So it should now all be level, so let's go torque it all down. All right, it says to torque down to 25 inch-pounds, but I recommend you set it to 15 just to start with. That way the wedge and the tool doesn't get jammed in there. So just tighten it down, and then you can easily remove the tool, and it doesn't get stuck in place in any way, shape, or form. And then we can just put it all away. It fits in this nice kit. The small wedge just slides right into the big wedge, and then we can just throw this away. And then we can put it back to 35 inch-pounds, and then we can torque down all the screws appropriately to what their value is. And just like that, we are all done with our install. All right, this has been pretty easy so far. So all we have left to do is install our scope onto the rifle now that it's been all leveled and torqued down. So this part should be pretty easy. We'll just loosen this scope mount and then take our old scope off so that we have room to install our new Trace Hardline Pro 4x16. So we're just going to place this on here, just set it on the rails, push it forward, and then lock these in place, starting with the front one. And just like that, we're all done. So that Warne QD mount makes life stupid easy. Let's check it though and see if we're actually level and see if all of our tricks actually worked. All right, here we are. So we got the top cap level. Now let's check the front and see if we have everything on the front level. See if we can focus. Oh, okay, so everything's level there. And then let's check our side level. Yep, all right, we're all good. 3 points of leveling, all perfect. So I think that was the easiest scope mount leveling and install ever. But there's one piece we still got a 0. So we're going to cheat on this too, and we're going to use the Wheeler Ultra Scope Mount Kit. And I'm going to use their laser on the end. It has a really nice green laser. It's easy to see during the daytime and at night. So you can really use it on both. The red lasers you can't always see. So let's use that. We'll 0 it, and then we'll head out to the range after our tests. Now before we get into those tests, let's go into a little bit more about this Hardline Pro 4x16. MR1-MIL reticle. So what this is a MIL reticle with the standard cross. It doesn't have any of the Christmas trees or the wind identifications, but it just has a standard MIL cross. That makes it easy for you to identify targets and then engage targets across multiple calibers. You could just then use the cross if you want to use your turrets, if you want to adjust for the windage and elevation, or you could just use simple holdovers if you knew the distance of your target. This allows you to use a lot of different calibers. You're not just locked into one like you would be with some BDCs. So this offers a lot of versatility, particularly when this may be used on a hunting platform or on multiple different calibers. Alright, so let's get into our first test, which is the magnification throw, like how much throw you have in the actual magnification dial. I found there was not much throw in it at all. It was very easy to go between 4 to 16 very quickly, and with the knurling that's around that magnification, it's easy to grab onto it. I didn't have any issues where I was sitting there saying, like, wow, I really wish I had a throw lever. I do love having throw levers, but they made it really simple, and really it was almost just a little bit less than 90 degrees, probably like 80 degrees or 75, where you could just crank right over and you're at full magnification or just pop back down to 4. For this next test, we'll talk about the turret rotation and the zero stop. So I found the turrets to be very well made. They had a good audible click. Now they don't have that feature where they actually like lift up and then click and then lock back into place. So they just turn in place. You have to be a little bit careful about that you don't bump into them or anything. And they don't have a zero stop, but you can remove them from the cap. There's 3 different Allen screws that you can remove from the cap and then replace it down so it realigns with 0, so you know where your 0 is located at, and then just tighten those 3 Allen screws back down. I found the turrets to be really nice. I didn't have any issues with them at all. Taking a look at the illumination and controls next, I didn't really test the illumination in the daytime. I think testing illumination on anything higher than 1x is a little bit silly. I had no issues with illumination. It was pretty bright, probably a little bit brighter than I would have wanted. But one thing I did like about the illumination knob is it did have the stops in between the different positions. So you'd have to go all the way around to go back to 0 or to turn it off. I really did like that. I do wish the illumination had more of a tactile click once it got into position, but I never really had any issues with it or any problems, so I can't really complain about it. For the next test, we're going to talk about the eye relief and the parallax. So for the parallax test, I just want to show you what the minimum and maximum is. You can go all the way down to 50 yards and then go all the way out to infinity. Some people like to have some different optics that go some really short range, and you really do need that short parallax in order to get there. And then for eye relief, I want to tell you that eye relief on this optic is absolutely fantastic, particularly at 4x. The eye relief is very forgiving and it's very easy for you to get a target. Obviously at 16x, it tightens up a good bit, but nothing like a 25 where you just have to get your eye perfect. You still have a good bit of room to flex, and I really found it to be extremely useful in getting on target quickly. This would be a fantastic mid-range optic. For the next test, we did a series of turret tracking with our 4x16 Hardline Pro. I did it first in the backyard and then realized it was not a really good point of reference for what I was originally aiming at. So then we took it back out to the range. I went ahead and did the turret test out at 300 yards, so it was very difficult to make sure I didn't make any adjustments to the reticle, but as you can see, it actually tracked perfectly with 0 issues. So the next one is the reticle test, and this one's going to be a little bit subjective, but I found this reticle to be extremely useful. I found all the reticle subtensions to be correct. Like when I needed to go to 1.1 mil to engage at 300 yards, I didn't have any issue where that measurement was somehow off. I also found the reticle to be super fun. Using it on all my backyard targets, I was really enjoying this reticle and having a lot of fun with this optic. So for our last test, and the one a lot of you really love, that's going to be our glass clarity test. Now what's really interesting about this is the first time that the technology has not been able to connect together enough to capture the image that I'm seeing in my eye because that glass is that clear. I have a lot of images that I'm going to show you here, but I want to show you particularly one where I zoomed out to 600 yards. What's interesting is my equipment can't actually capture how clear this is, but I can see the actual impacts that are on the target out at 600 yards. Being able to see those target impacts on the gong is just absolutely crazy. This optic glass clarity is just out of this world. One of the main features I want you to know that you're going to get on this is an absolutely insane glass quality. So if you're wondering what is that price tag for, that is for that amazing first focal plane glass clarity. You will be extremely happy in glass clarity with this optic. All right, so the time has come where we have to actually check and see if all of our scope mounting tricks actually worked. So I'm gonna go shoot it and we'll see how far off the optic is and see if we're actually zero or not. So totally crazy. You'll never imagine this. We were absolutely perfectly spot on at the very first shot. I was so surprised by this that I actually shot a second shot just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, and it was perfectly on the bullseye. So all of our tricks actually worked, and we mounted this in like the shortest amount of time ever. All right, let's go out to the 100 and let's take some shots then. All right, so obviously the 100 was pretty easy. Let's go out to the 200 yard. Well, it seems like I can't see the 200 yard. All right, so we're gonna go straight to the 300. Let's see if that reticle actually works. All right, so that's one of the most fun range days I've had in a while. This thing is an absolute blast. So let's talk about my pros, cons, and do I recommend it? Let's start with the pros, and I want to start with the weight. I think that's the biggest one I want to hit on. Here I'm sitting on a 4x16 with a 32-ounce optic with scope mount with the QD. That's the same as an LPVO, probably a little bit less than some LPVOs, depending on what you have. This would make an absolutely crazy optic for a mid-range mission set. That's what they designed this optic around, and you can optimize that mission set by using this optic. With that low weight, you could put it on an optic that can shoot out to those mid-ranges and then still move quickly around. You're not just stuck locked down in one position, just being able to shoot and then have a 12-pound rifle you got to carry around. This easily lends itself to some mid-range, lightweight weaponry. So for my next big pro, I love all the little things they did. Like, they seem like they're just small, but they make a culmination effect. So like the knurling on the magnification lever makes it that much easier to grab it. Then you have the same grippiness on the actual diopter that makes that easier to use. And then you have the fancy sunshade with the cool Hardline Pro logo etched into it. Everything is done with an extra level of attention. Even the little red ring that's around everything. This whole optic just pops at you and makes people look at it and go, wow, this is well done, and that's interesting. What is that optic? And every time I look at it, that's how I feel. I'm like, wow, what is that thing? Oh wait, I know what that is. Okay, my last big pro. This is a big one. The glass clarity and the eye relief. Now, when it comes to mid-range optics, that's exactly what you want. You want to have some extreme glass clarity and then an eye relief that you can catch from pretty much any angle, because you don't know if you're going to be sitting, standing, kneeling, or prone. You need to be able to see that optic without any scope shadow, and this does exactly that. It does absolutely fantastic. The glass clarity is out of this world, and the eye relief is extremely forgiving. It is a wonderful optic. Okay, cons. This is the first time I guess I'm just going to be nitpicky. There's no Christmas tree on the reticle. I kind of like that, but you don't really need it. Having it be a mid-range optic, it gives you the right amount you would need to adjust for. I would just like to have some of those indicators for wind, because, you know, wind is the great equalizer. Some people can figure out distance, but wind is the one that levels the playing field. So having those dots that space out from the MIL reticle are really useful when you have a wind at like 7 miles per hour, and it's hard to kind of gauge where that is, particularly when you're at like 2.1 and you're kind of trying to line everything up. I think they could take this to the next level by just adding a little bit onto that reticle. Again, nitpicking on this con, there's no throw lever, but I don't know if you really need it. I do really like using throw levers. I like being able to quickly adjust. It's just really fast and really easy. But with the knurling they did on that aggressive cuts they put, you don't really need it. I didn't find myself saying, wow, I can't move this quick enough. So while I would like to have it, it's not really a need. So then, do I recommend this optic? I absolutely do. And to be honest with you, I have a really crazy idea. I want to use this same optic and use one of those Badger Ordnance Condition 1 and actually do an offset red dot, because then you could have the best of like all of the worlds. You could engage all the close range targets, but then you could also have 16 times magnification. So then you could engage targets between 0 and 800 yards. I think that would be an absolutely crazy setup, and I absolutely recommend this optic with the crazy glass clarity, the great magnification, and the wonderful eye relief. I really have nothing bad to say about this optic. So again, big thanks to Crimson Trace. It was amazing of them to supply us with one of their brand new 2021 optics that is just now coming out in stores. They do have a really exciting 1x6 and second focal plane that I would just love to see. And they have an amazing 6x24 if you want to go out to those long ranges. So hopefully we can see some of those optics and hopefully we can bring you more. And as always, thanks to our Patreon supporters. I love what you guys do for the channel. You guys make this all possible for all of us, and all of you out there that like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below what you liked about this Hardline Pro from Crimson Trace. Let me know what you think and what things you want to see on the next review. All right, everybody, Walsh out.